Hi everyone, it's Victor speaking. And today I'm here to speak about maybe an interesting topic. Maybe you haven't heard of it yet. It's a asteroid, or actually it's a dwarf planet, and it's called Orcus. Now, one of the reasons why I wanted to speak about it is because in 4 years' time, there is going to be a Pluto and Neptune sextile, which I'm going to be making a separate video about this week. Obviously, any type of conjunctions and aspect between outer planets somehow affect the world significantly, rather than on a personal level. However, of course, when something happens in the world, it's going to be affecting you as well. Like, for instance, let's think about the COVID situation, right? So it did affect us directly and in an indirect way as well. Now, I know that plenty of you are interested in Pluto and how to heal those traumas and crisis situations. And probably Orcus can be one of those which might be giving you the solution how to do that. So Orcus was discovered in 2004, to be precise, on the 17th of February. It's a trans-Neptunian object. It's a dwarf planet. One of the 5 of the dwarf planets, actually, and it's also called as a Plutino. Now, I'm not going to go into so much of the astronomical reasons why it's called a Plutino. I'm not really good at it anyway, but it has got the same resonance, just like Pluto, and any Kuiper belt object which has the same resonance as Pluto is also called as Plutino. Now, Orcus has got a 245-year orbital period. So actually, it's very similar to Pluto. Now, this already suggests to us that Pluto and Orcus never will make a conjunction. Now, a little bit about the mythology. So Orcus, or it's also called as Orcus, it was a personified spirit, the son of Aries, which I made a video about recently with the Pluto and Aries square. And this is one of the reasons why I wanted to look at Orcus, because it might give us clues how to overcome this Pluto-Aries square. Now, Orcus was the god of the underworld, not like Pluto, as he was the ruler of the underworld. And we do need to make a little bit of a differentiation when we speak about Orcus and Pluto, that one of them is about the conscious mind, and the other one is about the subconscious mind. Now, the conscious mind is something which we are aware of. The subconscious, we might not be aware of, or in most cases, actually, we are not aware of those. And you might be wondering that I called it as a trans-Neptunian planet and also a Plutino. Now, how the Neptune comes into the picture is that we tend to be escaping into our subconscious, and that's the Neptunian part, right? So Neptune is about escapism. Pluto is all about deep research and going as deep as possible. So that's going to be something to do with the subconscious. So if you wanted to look at your mind, basically, we would say that Neptune is something to do with your conscious mind, because you create all those ideas in your head how it should look like. And Pluto is going to be something to do with your subconscious. Now, Orcus is kind of like counterpoint in the chart to Pluto. So it's like an anti-Pluto planet, basically. And it could, so if Pluto wants to rape, Orcus wants to save those. So it's kind of like a little bit of a polarity to it. But of course, Orcus punishes us as well. So it's a Plutino. At the end of the day, it's going to be hard to deal with it. So it talks about curses, whether you are cursed or not. It talks about punishing people who actually broke their oath, or people who broke their promises. Actually, Orcus tends to swear quite a lot. So we can call Orcus as the punisher of the condemned. Now, if you don't know where to find actually Orcus, then just go on astro.com, and then in the additional objects, you will be able to choose him. Now, However, Orcus on a higher octave, it's very much about healing, and it tends to get attached to people who it heals. So Orcus is something to do with the hidden truth in your chart, but the truth which you tend to hide from yourself as well. And remember, these are not factual truth. The factual truth is more about Mercury. So Orcus is more about the deeper spiritual path, the deeper spiritual truth, something that the subconscious is kind of forcing you. So you can actually say that Orcus is a little bit related to 12th house matters. So the deepest truth of our subconscious. It's kind of like spiritual honesty, but it's kind of like a karmic contract we signed before we actually were born. But of course, we humans tend to break those promises. So on a negative manifestation, it talks about the lies actually to yourself and or others as well. How you kind of try to escape from that truth. We can also, you know, Pluto, we said that it's something to do with the monsters in the closet, right? The skeletons. And Orcus is something which is actually creating those lies so that you can somehow escape from your from those monsters, and then they are not going to be bugging you anymore. So Pluto is your deepest fears, somehow when the power was taken away from you, but at the same time how you can get that power back. And Orcus is something which you might do in your mind to kind of be able to hide away from this. So think about it this way. Pluto is actually manipulates the situation in your life. Orcus actually triggers those. Orcus provides solution or issues, solutions actually to Plutonian issues, right? So um, I recommend checking out your Orcus in your chart, especially maybe the closest trines or sextiles, and that could be indicating how you can heal your Plutonian problems. So let's approach it from a different angle. So we know that the Plutinos or the Plutonian energies represent something to do with the underworld. Now, of course, you might think that Pluto is the death and transformation and all those type of things, which you can actually hear a lot about. But I would say that it has got a lot more to it, because what happened in the underworld, only bad people went there, right? And they were sent there to purify their souls. Now, from a higher octave of point of view, this is something to do with your subconscious. Because if you dig deep and then you find the root cause of the problem, then actually you can purify your souls, and that's when you gain the power back. So therefore, I tend to call Pluto as in a planet which is about the darkness and the light in the chart. But of course, Pluto cannot really represent both at the same time. So that's why we kind of have got Orcus, which is actually helping you how to find that light in your chart. And, you know, let's put it this way. We do need to go through some type of pain to be able to evolve. We must go through some awakening moment somehow to gain that power if we want to get Pluto activated in our chart. But Orcus also talks about kind of the energy of confession. It's kind of like the psychological projection. We can call it as the Freudian slips, actually. You know, when you say Freudian slips are when you say something out loud, because somehow it was produced by your subconscious, and then you don't necessarily understand why you have said those things. So, and also your subconscious mind, sorry, your conscious mind is something which deals with logic. Your subconscious deals with images and emotions. When people use these images to tap into their emotions, kind of like they are trying to bypass their logical mind. And this is what we call as mind control. And that's very much of the Plutonian energy overall. And it's not easy to recognize these. So the conscious mind is actually something which analyzes, thinks and plans, and kind of like relates to your short-term memories. But your subconscious is more about creating habits and emotions, and it's something which relates to your long-term memories. Therefore, but it also could talk about cases like addictions, developmental stages in your life. It's very intuitive. So that's why we call Pluto as a planet, which is a generational planet. Typically, it indicates 3 generations and before. But also, it's a spiritual planet as well. So if you want to know how to activate your spiritual power, or just the power within you, maybe Pluto can represent the money as well, right? You can actually look at Orcus, how to do that, and look at the positive aspects. The tightest aspect will give you the most energy. I would say maximum 2 to 3 degree orb, which you need to do. To summarize on this, Pluto and the dwarf planets, such as Orcus, are part of your subconscious. So each of them gonna be a little bit of a segment here and there. And Orcus' aim is to be honest with yourself. So in mundane astrology, it's going to talk about the lies, the broken oath, even legal matters, or how the government is trying to pull a wool over your eye. Orcus is something to do where both of them actually, Pluto and Orcus, represents power as well. But Orcus is going to be more about the universal plan, which is actually determined to you to carry out. So I would say that Orcus is more about the rebirth and Pluto is more about the death. So the process is that you're going to have to go deep to face those inner monsters. And Orcus is going to tell you how you can actually reborn. So Orcus is kind of like laying down a new groundwork for yourself. Pluto brings shocks and sudden crisis in your life. And imagine Orcus as the mom who comes into the room when you're crying as a child and then gives you a cuddle, right? And then it makes disappear all those monsters. But something which helps you to overcome that Plutonian energy. Pluto is kind of like a volcano. And Orcus is going to be those little, I don't know, animals or bugs or whatever it is, which is actually able to live around the volcanoes. And actually, the science can't really explain why it is happening. Funnily enough, there is this series which usually come to my mind with Pluto and Orcus together. It's called, it's a series, it's called Vampire Diaries. And if you remember, I mean, if you watched it, there is the main character called Elena in the series, who switched off her emotions, who switched off her humanity so that she doesn't need to remember the pain. And the way how they tried to bring her emotions back was through facing her fears, tried with love, and actually the fear part worked the bestest way. So that's exactly, Elena was Pluto, who didn't want to face the fears, and then Damien and Stefan, the other two main characters who tried to bring her emotions back, were Orcus, because they tried her to face her fears. So Orcus can represent the ways you can actually face your fears. So Orcus, as a summary, it could talk about intellectual independence, how we challenge our established thoughts, someone who is actually living up to their own words, that's a positive manifestation. It talks about broken promises in your life. It's kind of like a spiritual creed. And the negative one is a little bit that it's hypocritical. It kind of like tries to find fault in every way. It's kind of blaming others, and it's unable to keep promises. So what I recommend doing is have a look on astro.com. Maybe actually I can show you as well, and then so let me just share the screen. Hold on. So you go on astro.com, you go on horoscopes down there, extended chart selection, and then you can enter your data, scroll down, and then in the additional objects, you will be able to find Orcus here. Okay, no, I'm not going to show that chart because that's not mine, but let's bring up, for instance, my chart. Oh, yeah, brilliant. Okay, and then you scroll down, and then you will be able to find Orcus right there underneath Ixion. Okay, and click here to show the chart. Brilliant. So you will be able to see actually Orcus written right there on 3 degree of Leo. Okay, so this is how you're going to be able to find. Now you can actually have a look at the Orcus. Does it get any positive aspects? Of course it does, for instance, from my moon. So a moon can be a solution how to overcome Plutonian issues. So firstly, you want to be analyzing your Pluto. So what could be the Plutonian issue? Let's say I'm afraid of sex, Pluto in the 8th house. Okay, one of the manifestations. Or I'm afraid of charging money, and so forth. Afraid of creating strong bonds with people. And one of the ways how we can overcome it is definitely 6th house Leo matters. So you want to be looking at where the sun is. It's going to be in the 12th house. Or we can look at what positively aspecting the tightest one. And that's something to do with moon. Okay. So overall, I just wanted to give you a little bit of food for thought. Thank you, everyone, and see you very shortly. Bye-bye.